Hey Book Dragons, I had a very eventful day, so I'm filming this a lot later, so if my voice sounds rough, it definitely is. Oh, now my dog is gonna come say hi. Sorry, it's like late and she wants to know why I'm up, but I planned on filming this earlier, but a lot of stuff happened. So, we are at the end of September. I still might finish one more book, but I will just attach it to like the very end. Oh, she's sleeping. She had a very, very stressful day. It's been raining all day in New York, and she does not like the rain. My poor puppy. So I'm just gonna go over stats. I'm gonna say I'm gonna read 20 books because I have one more left. So these stats may be a little bit off at the very, very end, but I'm probably gonna finish 20 things in the month of September, which is incredible for me. And if I don't finish it, it will be 19. But right now the stats are 19 books. I read 560 pages. I read on average 218 pages a day, which is actually great for me. Average page count was 345, which is, I'm getting up there in the page count, which is good because I'm reading books that I've been wanting to read. My most read genre is romance, which is very accurate because I read a lot of romantic suspense. I read 8 books with rep, 12 from authors I read before. I had 9 5-star reads. I think Battleathon was very motivating in me choosing my books and finding books that I loved, and it was like very, very good. I had 8 4 stars, 1 3.5 star, and I think that's it. It was like the lowest that I went. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, that was like the lowest it went. For an average rating of 4.24. So yeah, Mel, this worked. This Battleathon definitely worked. I read 15 new releases, 4 backlist, and 0 from last year, which is funny. I read 8 physical, 11 audiobook, no mixed media, and no ebooks. Definitely next month I will be reading ebooks because I'm going to Comic-Con. And I started 4 series, I continued in 4 series, and I completed 1, which I'm very excited about. And I read 9 standalones. I read 2 arcs, 4 from Audible, 1 from KU, 5 from the library, and 6 owned. I read 2 fantasy, 4 mystery, 2 YA thriller or horror, 6 romance, 1 YA contemporary, 1 middle grade, 1 middle grade fantasy, 1 nonfiction, and 1 thriller. So definitely had a nice balance for the second half of the month. And considering last year I didn't even have to do a mid-month math wrap, but I think this was a much better reading month for me, like overall. So let's get into it. I'm gonna mention that I'm just gonna mention this because I am doing a Harry Potter read along with MuggleCast, and I follow them for years. We are very in line on our J.K. Rowling opinions, so I am continuing to do that with them. I support them on Patreon, and I just want to keep doing the reading, the read along, because their opinions are great, and I wouldn't not just stop listening because they're rereading the book. So I reread Harry Potter. I'm not really gonna rate it. It is just a series that I have enjoyed in the past. J.K. Rowling sort of sucks, but I do like the community that MuggleCast has created. So if you're a Harry Potter fan or a former Harry Potter fan and you want to have some Harry Potter friends, I would check them out. And then the next book that I read was one that I was very excited for. And I actually read it for a reading vlog where Riley Marie's scavenger hunt shows my TBR. So I read Tress of the Emerald Sea. So let me go get all my books and then we'll chat through them. This was for the Riley Marie vlog that I did, and oh my god, I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was spectacular. This book was just such a fun time, and it worked for me on so many levels. Like, I have struggled with Brandon Sanderson's adult books, but for some reason, this book just was cozy. I didn't know Brandon Sanderson could write cozy reads. This book just screamed cozy to me, and it worked. And I just love this edition. I am so happy that I kickstarted it because I think I would have really regretted if I didn't, because all the covers for like the Tor acquired books are not my favorite. But oh my god, my battery's gonna die. All right, let me go change my battery, and then I'll tell you guys a summary of this if you don't know. So, because of that, this book just worked for me. You basically follow a main character named, oh God, what is her name? Trass, obviously. And she has to go on a quest to save the man that she loves. And it is a wild seafaring adventure with very lovable characters, very, very fun reads. And I think the narrator of this is like bigger in the Cosmere, so I'd be curious to kind of go back and kind of see where he belongs. But as a standalone, I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. I read it. I would have read it in like about like a weekend, but then I got a bit distracted. Normally the week is just a rougher time for me to read, but I devoured this. I gave it 5 stars. I'm so excited. I'm so happy I finally picked it up, and I really want to read all of his other secret projects. But yeah, I got one down, which is really, really exciting for me. And the edition I have is stunning. So if you missed out on these editions, I would definitely see if they're still in Dragonsteel because they're worth it. Trust me. And then the next book that I read was The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. This, I don't know if I talked about Hello Stranger. So I'm going to talk about Hello Stranger if I didn't. And then I will just go to The Bodyguard. So the first book I read by Catherine Center was Hello Stranger, and I will attach a photo here. It's a wild, fun ride. Like, I know she hasn't wrote romantic comedies in the past, but I know all her books have had a romantic element to it. This book was really, really fun. So basically you follow an artist who gets into an accident and has face blindness, and she wants to do this competition, but she can't make out faces, and she kind of has to work to kind of do this competition because she can't see. And hilarity, drama, a dog is present and accounted for. It was just a fun time. Very emotional. Catherine Center's book do definitely have an emotional element and like very, very self-discovery heavy, but I really like this one. I gave it 5 stars. It was fun. The end, like there was a predictable element because she didn't know who she was talking to. She has face blindness. And I just thought that it was you kind of knew where the story was going, but it was just a fun time. So I gave this one 5 stars. And then I immediately had to pick up The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, which I will also attach a photo here. 5-star read for me. But you basically follow this character, and she is a bodyguard basically, and she's kind of like an offshoot of the CIA, and she kind of has to force to go work for this Hollywood actor and be a bodyguard because there's someone that is going like stalking him. And hilarity, drama, and romance are on the horizon. She's also dealing with a lot. Her boyfriend dumped her, her mom died, they didn't have the best relationship, so she's kind of dealing with a lot of that stuff as well. So there definitely is like a lot of self-discovery elements, and being in her head is just fun. And I gave this one 5 stars. So 2 books by Catherine Center. I don't know if I would love her backlist because people say it's more like women's fiction, and I don't know. I'd be curious because the audiobooks really work for me, so I'd be curious to see who read those books. But yeah, those are the 2 books I read by Catherine Center, and I really enjoyed them both. And then the next book I picked up was 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I really, really like this book as well. I gave this one 5 stars. This was a really, really fun read. This one follows a main character named Clementine, and her aunt recently passed away. Trigger warning, there is talk of suicide in this book, not for the main character, but a side character. And there is death of a loved one in here, and that is a pretty prevalent topic of this book. Just kind of like when I read The Dead Romantics, death and grief was a very, very big prevalent of that book as well. But you follow Clementine, and she kind of inherits her aunt's apartment, but little does she know this apartment has a glitch, and you can travel 7 years into the past. So she winds up meeting this man named, does it say his name? It's not Owen. Ewan, and he is a chef. So they're kind of having 2 different relationships. They both like, eventually they kind of realize like what is happening, but they have a relationship in the present as well. And it's really, really fun. It's a great time. It does have a lot of grief. You only do get Clementine's point of view. But the one thing I normally prefer my dual point of view, but the one thing I love both about Ashley Poston and Catherine Center, because both of those books only had the female point of view, was how Ashley Poston writes this story. She feels like she's like talking to you as like a friend, and she's just like, it's just a cozy read, and I just loved it. I got teared up. There was a lot of side characters. It was just really, really fun. We also got a little cameo from the Dead Romantics characters, which I thought was really, really fun, and I was here for it gave this one 5 stars. I had a really, really good reading month, and I hopefully October is the same because I have a lot of fun plans. And then I picked up from the library. I actually have to return those. I don't know if it's going to rain tomorrow, so I may not be able to return tomorrow. But Witch of Wild Things by Rachel Vasquez Gillard. This was another like second chance witchy romance about 3 sisters, and one sister named Sage kind of returns home to her sister, and one of her sisters has died, and that is making the rest of the sisters, their bond very, very complicated. But she kind of goes back and she kind of gets thrust into a second chance romance. She has to kind of use her nature magic to kind of save the day. And I love this one. I gave it 4 stars. I don't think it's going to be a new favorite, but it did give me like charm vibes, which is exactly what I wanted due to the complicated relationships between the sisters. But I gave it 4 stars, and I would love to see other books kind of set in this world. And then I had a bit of a issue, so I'm going to talk about that. I did wind up getting Library of Shadows from my library, and I wound up DNFing it. I got about 170 pages in, and I was really hoping I would like it. But I didn't. It felt insta-love. There wasn't a lot of characters in this story, and it just didn't work for me, which is sad, because it sounded really good when Merrily Kristen pitched it to me. I was going to do it for a Dark Academia reading vlog. I still am doing that vlog. This book will just get DNF'd in it. But I didn't love it, and I wound up DNFing it. And then I wound up picking up an audiobook kind of when I was running some errands. And I read Becoming Free Indeed, My Story After Tangling Fate from Fear by Ginger Boble Duggar, and I will attach a photo here. Yes, I watched the Duggars growing up, and it really didn't have anything to do with like their religious beliefs. Honestly, like that like went over my head, to be super honest. But I was fascinated by like having so many kids because I'm an only child. So any show that had a lot of kids, like John and Kate Plus 8, the Duggars, I was just fascinated by that. So it just was interesting to see the story from her point of view and kind of how she kind of got out of the cult mindset. Because I also watched Shiny Happy People on the Duggars on like the Amazon Prime, so I just wanted to see it through her eyes. I also want to read Jill's book because that one I think is going to be more interesting. But yeah, it was a fun time, and I mean not a fun time, but it was very, very interesting just to see her point of view. It's a very, very faith-based read, I will say that. I kind of was like, that wasn't really what I was interested in, but again, it was interesting to see her point of view on stuff, so that was kind of interesting. And then the next book that I finished reading was Meet Your Baker by Ellie Alexander. I'll attach a photo here. And this was the start of a cozy mystery series. It really did give me Hannah Swanson vibes, if I'm being super honest, but it worked, and I gave it 4 stars. But basically about this young girl. She's, well, not like this young woman. She's working on a cruise ship, but she has to come back because she has an issue with her husband, I guess, and they like kind of are not going to be together, and she kind of walks back to help her mom with this small, you know, little bakery, and a murder happens and she has to kind of help solve it. Very, very Hannah Swenson vibes, but I just like the characters. I didn't get like all the small time vibes yet, sorry, I can't speak, but I did really like the characters, and I want to get the future books in the series, but I just have to like buy them all, so it's just gonna be like a slower process for me to get them. And then the last book I'm going to talk about right now is the new Lisa Jewell book, which I haven't even reviewed. Oh yes, I did. I haven't even added it to my spreadsheet, but that is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, and I will attach a photo here. This was a wild ride, let me tell you. This book was crazy. So basically you follow this character, you follow these 2 women, and they meet one night and they realize that they're birthday twins, and one is a podcaster and one is just a woman. And the non-podcaster just tells this woman, all right, I think you should do a podcast about me. We're birthday twins and I'm about to change my life. And what occurs is a wild ride. Wild. I don't like domestic thrillers like all that much just because they're not that fascinating to me, but the podcast element had me intrigued, and I like read this book in like 2 days just because like I was just listening at work. Like I finished it in 2 days. It was a quick listen, all vibes. Like it was just a very interesting book. There was a lot of twists and reveals. I love the podcast elements. I thought it was very, very well produced. I gave it 4 stars, and I would definitely maybe go back and read more by this author, but I think the podcast element definitely enhanced this book for me. So I am going to be back at the end of tomorrow to see if I have finished anything else. But yeah, I hope you guys like this video, and I will be back to wrap up this vlog officially. But I will say that I am about 278 pages into A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid, and so far I'm loving this, and I think this is the potentiality to be another 5-star read. So I'm probably going to finish this tomorrow if I can get all my errands done today. But I will come back and chat about this tomorrow, and if not, I will just come out and close out this vlog and say my thoughts so far, but pretty confident I can finish this tomorrow. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.